Mabuhay! Ako po si Catriona Gray, ang inyong NCCA Arts Ambassador. Inaanyayahan kayong manood at tumutok dito sa Padayon, the NCCA Hours. Halina't ma-inspire sa mga kwento ng pag-asa, makisaya sa kwentuhang puno ng kaalaman, at matuto sa ating sining at kultura. At para laging updated sa mga kaganapang pangkultura, bisitahin, i-like, sundan at mag-subscribe sa Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter account at YouTube channel ng National Commission for Culture and the Arts sa @NCCA Official. Muli, ito po si Catriona Gray. Padayon na! Sulong na!
Ang mga opinyon, kuro-kuro at pananaw na ipapahayag ng mga panauhin at mga tagapagdaloy ay hindi sa programa, sa pamunuan o ng ahensyang ito.
Tamang kaalaman tungo sa malayang kaisipan. Ako po si Ferdy Isleta.
Ang kultura ay susi sa kadakilaan. Ako po si Annie Luis.
Isang oras lang ang kailangan. Ako po si Reneda Peñas. Ito ang
Padayon the NCCA Hour. Sulong na!
Padayon the NCCA Hour.
Sulong na!
Makasaysayan
Bongga!
At eksklusibo!
sa pinakaabangang pagbubukas ng telon ng Metropolitan Theater ay isang makasaysayang produksyon ang inihandog ng National Commission for Culture and the Arts at Metropolitan Theater sa ating mga netizens sa Pilipinas at buong mundo noong October 24, 2021.
Tama ka, partner Ferdy. At hindi man natuloy ang planong mapanood, ang bonggang stage production na ito ng live ay naging matagumpay naman ang pagkatanghal nito online. Patunay lamang na ang sining, kahit tayo may nasa gitna ng pandemya, ay makakahanap pa rin ng paraan upang magpatuloy kundi man ay mas umunlad pa.
Agree ako sa iyo dyan, partner Rene. At kung ang mga tao ay hindi pa rin makapunta sa teatro upang makapanood at maranasang muli ang mahika ng entablado, ang teatro ang pupunta mismo sa kanilang mga tahanan. Kasabay pa rin ng pagdiriwang ng 2021 Quincentennial Commemorations in the Philippines ay malugod na inihandog ng NCCA at Metropolitan Theater ang pagsasaentablado ng Lapulapu, ang dato ng Mactan. At ngayong hapon, eksklusibo nating mapapanood ang naging paglalakbay ng produksyon upang mabuo ang makasaysayang pagtatanghal na ito.
Naku mga partners, mga kapadayon, hindi naging madali ang pagbuo ng produksyon ng Lapu-Lapu. Ito ay 1 year in the making. At nung panahon na ito ay ginawa, ang mga members ng productions, lahat ng mga artists ay nilock in during yung taping para ma-ensure ang kanilang safety at matupad ang health protocol na pinapairal ng ating bayan.
At syempre, partner Ferdy, mula sa lock-in taping, ay nagkaroon naman tayo ng isang presser or press conference. Itong kaunaunahang mga partners na blended press ko natin. Kapag sinabing blended, meron tayong online media o online universe at syempre, may mga on-site media. At kami, bahagi ng Public Affairs and Information Section at ang mga on-site media. Dumaan kami mga partners sa swabbing upang ma-ensure ang ating health protocols. At napakaganda talaga ng Metropolitan Theater, mga kapadayon. Talagang isang masasabi natin napakaganda experience ang mapasok ang Teatrong Metropolitan.
Theater. And today, we not only celebrate this milestone, but we will also witness and experience a world-class performance staged right here at the Met after 25 long years of closure and after its full restoration. To formally commence our afternoon program, we will first hear from NCCA's OIC Executive Director, Ms. Marichu Delias.
I would like to welcome you all to this opportunity of conversation about the Metropolitan Theater and of course the production of Lapulapu Naging. The journey of the restoration and rehabilitation of the Metropolitan Theater has really been long and challenging in every sense of the word. So it was indeed important at that time, as the concern of the NCCA is to be able to conserve the Met, and there was no better way by that particular time but to acquire it. And of course, as they say, the rest is history.
Ibuhat mo yuta, balan nga gigikanan sa unang mga kilala. Bathalan pinaglamaunan, nilikha. Kayong nanirahan sa mga batuhang indubi at apoy. Bukag ang nagumot, layo sa mga kinabuhi.
Finally, after 25 years of anticipation, we are finally opening the doors and raising the curtains of the iconic and newly restored Metropolitan Theater. Ang Lapu-Lapu at ang dato ng Mactan ay sinuwerte po kami na napunta sa amin ang pagtatalaga ng presentation ito. Binigay po sa amin ang aming palikat ng National Historical Commission para gawin ang kanilang program ng Lapu-Lapu, ang dato ng Mactan. Kaya nung ibinigay po sa amin ito nitong unang buwan o May or January of this year, my group, my artistic group or creative team started to work almost every week of January to talk about Lapulapu. This production was prepared for an audience. It was a beautiful production when I saw it. Kanya lang, malungkot ako dahil ang nanonood nung pinanood ko ay ako lang at si Mr. Aaron Veloso. In other words, the theater was empty. The performance was so good. I said to myself that I have seen a lot of productions, not only in the Philippines, but abroad. And I said, my God, this production should be in Broadway.
Tatlong oras na naman sa daan, pati paboritong kandidato ni Manong Driver ay napag-usapan yun ng dalawa na pagtalunan pa nga. Ngunit sa isang bagay nakatugma, kung iisipin mo ngayon, imposible matupad, pero malay mo naman makabukas. imposible sa ngayon na bukas.
Ang tema po ng quincentennial commemorations natin is victory and humanity. Yung first word po na victory, ito po ay nakasentro dito sa tagumpay ng ating mga ninuno noong April 27, 1521. Kaya po ako ay labis na nagpapasalamat sa pamunuan ng NCCA dahil po sa napakalaking suporta na binigay nila sa amin at pati na rin po sa tiwala nila sa NHCP na pamunahan ang pag-restore itong iconic theater na ito sa ating bansa.
Mga partners, wag na nating patagalin pa. Sabay-sabay nating silipin at alamin ang naging paglalakbay ng Lapulapu, ang dato ng Mactan. That's hard.
Wow.
Ano ba? Bigat na yun. Bigat siya.
The production of Lapulapu actually is a dream project of the National Historical Commission, NHCP. Pagpasok nila 2021, ang balak talaga, since matatapos na ang main theater ng Metropolitan Theater, magkakaroon tayo ng unang pagkakataong magpresenta ng ating produksyon. I started to form a creative team, and that is Adriana Akawili,
So this started out more than a year ago. It started out with weekly meetings in Club Filipino. So that was where we did the brainstorming, and we brought in people whom we knew would have a natural love for the Met. So that would be Ed Murillo, who's a long-time Metizen.
Basically, that is to discuss the inauguration of the Metropolitan Theater sana. Well, na-discuss na namin, nakapagsabit na kami ng concept for the inauguration. Then biglang may pumasok na since it's the quincentennial celebration.
But that was because we thought mabubuksan na natin ang Metropolitan Theater to an audience. The theater was ready. Unfortunately, nagkaroon po tayo ng mga lockdown noong February and succeedingly, mga cases ng COVID tumaas.
There were many things we discussed with Mr. Lizaso. Parang una nga, we were thinking of a Manila-themed show. Initially, we thought of Manila 450 years kasi tamang-tama din, di ba? And then, the idea of the quincentennial was also brought up.
Inano niya na baka pwedeng gawin yung magpagawa ng musical about Lapu-Lapu para yun ang i-present sana sa April.
That is the circumnavigation of the world of 1521 during the time of Lapu-Lapu and during the time of Magellan. Ang magsisimula ang celebration sa Cebu. And from Cebu, continue sa gabi dito sa Metropolitan Theater. Kaya ang nangyari po ay pinospone ang pagtatanghal ng Lapu-Lapu sa bandang Agosto sana. Again, in August, we encountered a lot of lockdown, and so we postponed again until we decided we cannot present it as a stage production with live audience, but rather we will present it on the digital platform.
So nakagawa kami ng group, nagka-gather kami ng whole production team.
We thought of Nick Pichay, who's very good with historical material naman, translated to dramatic pieces.
Tinawagan ako na Tokayo Nick Lizaso. Sabi niya, gusto mo bang sumulat ng historical play tungkol kay Lapu-Lapu? In-explain niya na quincentennial ng arrival ni Magellan sa Pilipinas, and they were celebrating 500 years of that event. And so I was very, very excited. Sabi ko, of course, gusto ko. Kasi this is an opportunity for us to look back in history and to figure out the meaning of that particular event in our lives.
We started to meet almost every other day sa Rockwell, afternoon, even on weekends, deliberate. And what we want, what is it, who is Lapu-Lapu, what is the time, etc., hanggang nabuo siya.
Tapos nakapag-produce na rin ng script ni Nick Pichay at music ni Krina Kayabyab. Kaya lang, biglang na-move from April to June to August. Now, finally, this October, natuloy na siya.
Nick Pichay, librettist, scriptwriter, Lapu-Lapu, ang datu ng Mactan. Most importantly, after I did a lot of readings and research, parang nag-expand yung mind ko kasi yung pagdating ni Magellan dito, hindi lamang tungkol sa pagdating niya at pagkikita nila ni Lapu-Lapu, kundi yung pagbukas ng bayan natin sa mundo at sa pagbubukas ng mundo sa globalization. Nung bata ako, ang tatay ko, paborito niya si Yoyoy Villame. So, nung panahon na yon, sumikat yung kanta ni Yoyo, yung ta-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Parang doon ako nag-umpisa. Humanga ako sa kanya after all these years kasi sabi ko, tingnan mo nga naman ito, bago pa mag-quincentennial, nakita na niya yung halaga ng pagkikita ni Magellan at ni Lapu-Lapu at ginawa niya ng kanta. Siguro simula noon hanggang ngayon, may isa lang ang nagbago dun sa kantang yon, yung pagtingin natin dun sa salitang discovered. Nagbago na yung lente, iba na yung pagtingin natin. sa pagdating ni Magellan dito. So ang talagang kinikilala ng maraming mga historiador yung account ni Pigafetta. Nagbasa rin ako tungkol sa kasaysayan ng Christianity at yung zeal nila o yung pananalig nila na humalap ng mga converts para doon sa relihiyon nila. Merong mga level, so may level ng history na nangyari sa Pilipinas, may level of history ng Europe. Tapos meron on the third level, level of what the world thinks of that now, parang on hindsight.
Dexter Santos, director of Lapulapu, ang dato ng Mactan. I think one of the most important works of the director is to find a specific perspective. Laging sinasabi when you're doing theater, you know, the translation from page to stage. And I think it's what's most important is to find, you know, a team who can actually tell the story and of course create a show that's very much relevant. Lalo na ngayon, parang I mean, during the pre-pandemic, parang everybody's so excited. Philippine theater is very, very much alive. But I think it comes on a different course. And creating a theater production right now is very, very much difficult, but I think very, very much significant because there are many, many factors or there are many, many things to be able to, you know, in order to push that through. I always believe na ngayon sa panahon ngayon, safety first.
Tama yan. Nung unang draft ko, malayo siya in the sense that pinaglaruan ko yung ideas higit sa paglalaro ko dun sa kasaysayan itself. Nag-consult ako sa National Historical Commission of the Philippines na isa sa mga pasimuno ng project na ito. And then, isa sa mga objective nila ay magkaroon tayo ng isang naratibo na acceptable sa lahat. Isang naratibo na batay sa historical records, isang naratibo na batay sa pananaw nating Pilipino, at isang naratibo na parang inclusive siya. Bilang mandudula, kailangan kong habulin o kailangan kong ipakita ang katotohanan na nalalahad ng kasaysayan. Pero bilang mandudula, meron din ako mga tinatawag na mga pamamaraan kung paano na ipapakita yon at sa taas nun, meron pa akong ipinapaabot na ibang uri ng mensahe o ibang uri ng idea para makatulong sa manunood na makita yung katotohanan ng higit lang sa parang panlabas na anyo.
We're fusing different types of theatrical forms. As you can see, of course, it's a musical, but of course we have songs and dances. We have we borrow from the tidbits of opera. Sometimes it's a straight play. Sometimes there's a dialogue. Sometimes it's just dance. So I think it's a mix. Also, we're very, very much conscious that through this production, since the maiden production of Metropolitan Theater, it was important that we showcase the possibilities of the theater, that we can do opera here, we can do plays here, we can do musicals, and all sorts of stuff. So I think that was very conscious. In terms of the concept, I think since it's really meant to be performed online, I think we're able to have a mix or a hybrid that when the people get to watch it, they get to see the history that we have. We're still following the idea of humanity and the victory of the people of Mactan and how it resonates to this generation. I think it's very important that we get to dabble on that. In terms of what we want, we also would like to highlight the culture.
So totoo rin, ang isa rin sa kaibahan ng version ko ng Lapulapu, para sa akin, mas nakakabusog siya kung itutuloy ko siya sa panahon ngayon at meron akong masabi tungkol sa ano naman ang kabuluhan ng kahapon sa panahon ko ngayon. Ang kaisipan na nananalaytay ang dugo ni Lapulapu sa dugo ng mga Pilipino ngayon.
The libretto is very eclectic because it's a mix of different things in terms of range, in terms of epoch. It doesn't really end in Lapulapu. There's a mix of poetry. There's a mix of the use of the NHCP songs, which became finalists. How Nick Pichay was able to infuse that in order to create a narrative. I think in terms of the libretto also, it was very important that it doesn't sound like it's a textbook coming from your history. That's one of the strong points of the libretto.
Dito sa tingin ko yung paglatag ko ng kwento tulad ng pagbabasa ko tsaka pag-digest ko ng mga materials, may 3 levels, yung play, yung level ng history, tapos yung level ng mythology, tapos yung level ng reality. So, makikita natin sa dula na tumatakbo siya on 3 parallel levels.
Si Nick Pichay had a very nice take on it, na parang he sees the world, the globe, as a woman. And the first person to circumnavigate the globe, siya yung nakadonselya sa globe. Yung parang, you discovered me first.
Ipinagpalagay ng mga puti na babae ang mundo at ang ekspedisyon ang lalaking nakadonselya sa dalaga.
So it's a nice take on breaking virgin ground. But at the same time, it's saying na, lalo na ngayon, when we really need heroism and patriotism and nationalism in our hearts, the main message is there are 100 Lapulapus rising up to meet the challenge of the present generation. So there are heroes in our midst who have that DNA of Lapulapu, who will rise up against anyone oppressing the Philippines. And then maganda yung language ni Nick, understandable, accessible to current audiences, short enough to appeal to the attention span of the millennials.
It's highly stylized. Kumbaga, using a word that it's postmodern. I think for me, the greatest feat right now is how you're able to, a story of Lapu-Lapu and the Battle of Mactan is such an epic in scale. But of course, we're doing it during the pandemic on how we're able to show it using limited resources, limited cast, parang ganon. So I think yun yung gusto naming i-offer, that you still get to tell the story. You get to still tell the tale of something which is grand, of something which is epic.
I must say, si Dexter was able to make the best and the most out of the limitations that we had to live with. So, maganda kay Dexter, his artistic vision is solid. Alam niya exactly what he's doing. But at the same time, he has a very clear view on how to keep the cast on toes, but at the same time, safe. My name is Adriana Agkawili. I'm serving as the creative director of this project. As creative director, I help oversee the creative process, which means linking up, acting as a liaison between production and creative. Because basically, that's the balance we have to strike naman. And there's a strong affinity for the Met as well, because this was basically, aside from UP, this is where I grew up as well. So I was still in college when I started acting here. So there's a real love for the theater. We have a wonderful young choreographer, si Ipen.
Hi, I'm Stephen Viñas. I'm the choreographer of the show Lapulapu. For the choreography of Lapulapu, the style of the movements here are based in Visayan, pre-colonial, tribal kind of movements. Ginagamit nila usually sa mga rituals, like in planting, in hunting, and in everything. So, me and the director and Sir Dex, nag-agree kami sa ganitong style na the basic form of the movement is nag-originate lahat sa Visayas. But from there, saka namin deconstruct yung form. From indigenous form, it became modern. We agreed na gawin siyang parang neo-ethnic kind of dance.
In terms of choreography, highly eclectic. I think in terms of the identity of the choreography, they're very much dictated and inspired by the members of our ensemble, coming from different dance troupes, coming from different dance companies whose expertise in terms of contemporary, modern ballet. So I think it's a mix also. We were able to ask Kenneth Torres of Ramon Ubusan Folkloric Dance Group to create an abstraction. When we talk about abstraction, is that we use particular indigenous dances, we use specific cultures. And from there, we were inspired by a specific dance or a specific ritual, like for example, a specific step, and we get to reinvent it and create something which is more contemporary.
bata malumuog na wong.
I think Krina Kayabyab is really her father's daughter. Ang galing-galing ng music ni Krina. There were times we were rehearsing and we wished to God we had an audience.
Hi, I'm Krina Kayabyab. I'm the composer, arranger, and music director. I'm mostly inspired by the collaboration that I've had with Direct Dexter Santos and writer Nick Ditchay, and then having all the elements from the Europeans and from the Philippine indigenous music. When put together, these have made me really develop the music further, together with the storyline and the narration of the writer and director. It's a real mix of all these different elements that have influenced the culture, basically, of the Philippines. And even if it's set during the pre-colonial times and then during the time when Magellan came in, it was not purely indigenous music. I put together elements of Western music and then a little bit of some of Baroque and classical European music. And then later on, following then the storyline, mas naging contemporary na rin yung music.
Aside from Nick's wonderful take on it, we have songs that won in the NHCP Philpop competition.
Tinignan namin sila, tapos sabi namin, baka okay itong i-incorporate dun sa play.
There's a hint of kundiman. There are percussives, so that gives it the driving, merong almost orchestral sound sometimes. And you also have that very pop feel towards the end na talagang you will get caught up kasi pop na pop yung feel pero yung message niya is timeless.
It's driving, I think. It's very engaging, I think.
The light design is, Dennis is a Metropolitan Theater boy,
Dennis Marasigan, lighting designer para sa Lapulapu ng Mactan. As lighting designer, I'm responsible for designing the lighting for the production in conjunction with the demands of the production and the requirements of the director. So the lighting is supposed to complement and in fact sometimes expected to enhance the visual images that the audience will see. In certain cases, it's supposed to help the audience visualize the time, setting, and place where the scenes of the production are taking place. The design begins with the script. The script says that the setting is from 1400s to 1521 up to the present. So immediately, my concern will be how to show that to the audience that there are changes in terms of the time that are happening in the play, in the production. And then you have the setting because the scenes happen in Mactan, in Cebu, in Spain and Portugal, in Europe, and then it moves into present-day Metro Manila. So again, I am supposed to help indicate that to the audience. So my first concern at the beginning will be how to try to help that, how to help the production in making sure that the audience does not get lost, that it has an idea where the production is happening. So that's one of the main requirements of the lighting design. And then as the production progresses, then you have discussions with the director in terms of the general concept. And then this is where the intent of the production comes in. So for example, from the beginning, it was made clear that the production will not have an audience. So the primary audience for the production, therefore, at least for this one, will be people who will be watching it in another medium, particularly television. And that means that the lighting requirements will change because the camera has a different tolerance for lighting levels than the eye. So that also becomes part of the consideration. The next phase would then be trying to learn and understand the configuration of the theater in terms of both the stage and the lighting.
We're very much fortunate also that we have Gino for set consultant and costume consultant. So we hope that you'd get to see the magic of the things that Gino has lent his wisdom in giving us all of those in terms of palette, in terms of costumes, in terms of cuts, in terms of details. I think one of the things that Gino has given to us in sharing his expertise is that, again, amidst those limited resources, still creating that world, still creating that color. And I think the character and identity, what is needed in terms of, lalo na if you're doing with historical characters. So, I mean, in terms of details, in terms of jewelry, in terms of accessories, I think that is one of the innovation.
Tumutulong po ako na ma-enhance namin o maayos ng detalyado yung mga disenyo na ginawa ng aming production designer and costume designer na si Sir Gino Gonzalez. So, ang naging task po namin dito is to execute yung kanya pong mga disenyo. Yung paglalagay at pagsusuot ng mga tamang aksesorya, pagsusuot ng tamang kasuotan, yung costumes, at saka gumawa din po kami ng research na tinatawag natin tungkol sa mga makeup or yung tattoo na ginamit ng mga panahon na iyon. Bali, ini-incorporate lang namin lahat. Kasama na bilang The Closet as a team, yung paglalagay ng mga makeup at hairdo. I am Norman Peña Florida, the stylist for Lapulapu The Musical.
The visuals of G.A. Palyarme are just exactly what we need. It's modern, but modern ang sensibility, pero strong grounding on tradition and classics.
I'm G.A. Palyarme, and I'm the video designer. For this specific show, since we're using massive LEDs as backdrop, so it's basically designing sceneries. Since this is a historical piece, we need to reinterpret it. We need to make sure that we're being historically accurate and at the same time artistically related to the staging of the material. We had to create with Direct Dexter and my associate Joyce. We had to create a certain design language, and so we decided on using the look of old worn maps, or which look like etched prints. So that's what we used as the design language for the Philippines, for the sceneries of Cebu and Mactan. And then for the Europeans, we used paintings as a contrast for both.
It's always a work in progress. We always try new things. So I've always believed that it's a trial and error process, and it works. And if it doesn't work, we get to change it. I think we're also conscious that it doesn't feel like that it's just lifted from a book or from an archive, or it doesn't feel like it's just a digital juice or a concert. I think we're finding that mid, that it's elevated, that it says something, and again, it's not there just for effect.
We had a solid roster already of people. So Ed Murillo, basically that was the core team. And then we had Malu Bernardo, who was also an old hand in terms of production management.
Hi, ako po si Ed Murillo, ang stage manager for Lapulapu. He's in charge of everything backstage, from the rehearsals to the technical week and up to the performance. Tapos he's the one who runs the whole thing na pagdating ng performance. Nung director, yung gusto niyang mangyari sa play, dapat ma-maintain as a stage manager. Yung pag nirarun yung show, dapat walang mabago, dapat kung ano yung gusto niya.
And then our technical director, si Dong Kalingasyon, also grew up in the Met. So more than the technical know-how is a reverence for the venue.
Dong Kalingasyon po, technical director for this musical. Basically, ang
trabaho ng technical director is buuin lahat kung anong kagustuhan ng stage director, ng lighting designer, and of course, the set designer. So, i-merge ng technical director lahat to para maging isang realidad. Actually, itong Lapu-Lapu, in terms of set, very simple. It's just a ramp. In terms of LED, we just have to be very efficient with number of sets of LEDs and the placement of it para strategic siya na hindi na nakakaumay na paulit-ulit na napwesto ng LED.
I'm Brad Corpus and I'm the sound engineer for Lapu-Lapu. My basic assignment is to make sure that the recording, the audio portion of Lapu-Lapu is well captured. I wanted the lapels to be hidden and not obviously seen in all the shots of the video.
Also, there's such a thing as synergy. There's a real synergy going on. Everyone is one sa vision. Everything's coming together beautifully.
Nay korona at kahoy natudluan, nagsolobog matahong nasinina.
My name is Cara Barredo and I play the role of Reina Juana. Reina Juana, or actually her local name is Humamay. And then she is the wife of Humabon. And then when the Spaniards came in, when Magellan came, she was given the name of Reina Juana. She got drawn to the religion that the Spaniards brought in here. The fact na ako yung unang nakakita ng Santo Niño, and then I was just magically drawn to it. It was something I could easily relate to because of my religion.
Hi, my name is Ivan Neri and I'm playing the role of Pope Alexander VI and Padre Pedro de Valderrama.
Hoy, Santo Papa Alejandro VI, magtitigil kayo, kundi kapwa kayo excommunicado.
As Pope, it's very important in this play kasi ito si Pope Alexander VI, siya yung kumbaga naghati sa mundo nung panahon na yon, and ito yung naging pinaka-driving force nung ekspedisyon.
Tignan mo nga naman ang kapalaran. Tinapos ko ang inumpisahan at pinaghirapan ng iba. Sabit lang naman ako sa ekspedisyon. Pero ngayon, detitulo na. Primus circumdidiste me.
Hi, my name is Matthew Barbers and I play the role of El Cano in this show. Everyone knows what happens to Magellan. Pero ang nakakatapos ng biyahe na ito, or who actually goes around the world, is actually El Cano, a crew member.
Isa ang layunin, ang mapalawig ang kalakal, ang humamig ng hiyas ginto't iba pang kayahanan.
I'm playing the role of Antonio Pigafetta, one of the Spaniards.
Ang kapitan! Hindi sila umubra! Nasugpo ang pagkaklas!
Noon pa man tuso na si Magellan, pinapapatay niya lahat ng hindi pwedeng pagkatiwalaan.
Hi, I'm Pau Castillo. I'm playing the role of Enrique de Malaca.
Kitanda naman si Jackson Janta Meliat!
Si Enrique is the boy translator for the whole fleet of Magellan. So siya yung, when they go to other islands, siya yung nakikipag-communicate dun sa mga tao.
Sugod karon, tayo'y mag-igsuon. Supling ng lupa't langit, magkasama sa tagulan at taginig.
I'm Red Nuestro and I'm doing the role of Datu Humabon. Datu Humabon is very ambitious Datu. Like, he will do anything. He will make alliance with anyone just to have that power.
Bathalan, pinagmula na maunang nilikan. Kayong nanimiran sa mga bato hangin. babaylan. Dito po yung role ng babaylan is the healer, yung nagpe-pray, mediator sa mga bathala, diwata, also the storyteller. Hindi mo ba nabalitaan? Magkakadigmaan! Lulusubin kami ni Magellan!
Hi everyone, my name is Andre Tiangco and I play the role of Magellan.
Maniwala kayo sa aking kamahalan. May daan mula sa kanluran na aabot sa silangan at mula doon mararating ang Islas de Mulaca. Kung bibigyan niyo ako ng mga galeyon at gagawin niyo ako kapitan ng ekspedisyon.
This guy who set out to find the Spice Islands and by accident he landed in the Philippines. So where he was met with hospitality, but he had some plans and that people were not agreeable to that plan, especially Lapulapu.
Sino ka ba, Ginoo? Ako si Lapulapu. Datu Kalipulako, tao, ninuno.
Ako po si Arman Ferrer at ako po si Lapulapu.
Ngayon pa may humihingi na siya ng buwis, ngayong dayuhan siya sa atin. Yung pinyag niya'y may masamang bahid at pinapain ka niya sa malaking ligaling.
Yung isang datu ng Mactan na nag-defy sa Spanish colonization. Kasi wala pa namang wala pang sense of Philippines noon di ba? So tribes pa lang. So he was really protecting the interests of the tribe kasi before pa dumating ang Spanish, meron na tayong system of government.
It was important that if he's able to mix the lyricism of the character, or of course in the music that drives him in terms of the particular number, and of course the gravitas and what is needed with Lapulapu.
Halina bituin, kami pag-isahin, laban sa manluluping, harigit ng diway, sa iyo manggagaling, sa
ang paggawa ng stage play or musical or something, sisimula yan sa one idea at magkakaroon ng supling ng bawat isa sa contribution from the different members of your creative team. In other words, parang magkakaroon yan, kumbagay bata, magkakaroon ng mukha, unti-unti mong inuhubog, unti-unti mong inaakay, lalakad, tatakbo, at ika nga ay magiging isang magandang human being. From nothing to something.
Kasi dun sa collaboration, nagkakaroon ng panibagong realidad yung sinulat mo. Mas nagiging practical siya Naaabot namin yung near ideal.
I still believe in the magic of the theater. I mean, even though this production is meant to be performed or to be seen online, the heart of the theater is here. The heart of the actors are here. The heart of every production staff or even the management staff and everybody who's part of it. I think you'll feel it. And again, you're able to perform it here in Metropolitan Theater after 25 years.
As soon as nabigyan na kami ng copy ng script at saka na-identify na yung cast kung sino, nag-set na si Dexter, our director, ng isang reading via Zoom.
We are very lucky that Sir Dexter is very hands-on. So madami siyang notes and things to remember.
I have to do some research and very helpful naman yung buong production kasi they gave us materials to study and to read on.
And then it was off on our own, learning the lines, learning the songs, learning the characters.
So it was just a matter of understanding the story and then really being aware of the physicality of it.
I talked to Sir Dex, the director, and Sir Nick. They wanted me to parang he is the sense of home na parang pinpoint siya to our OFWs na kailangang magtrabaho to sustain their life.
Kasi ayaw ni Sir Dex ng stock na character. Ayaw niya na pag sila Lapulapu ganto. Kailangan namin mag-research.
It was such a tall order for everybody, to avoid characterization which is caricature, to find a characterization which is more three-dimensional, and really working in terms of intention.
Siyempre, pag Sir Dexter, alam natin na movement, yan talaga. And then, of course, the sincerity of the lines, the text. So, yung pagkilala dun sa sino ba talaga si Lapulapu. So, may research na involved with regards to who he was and ano yung stand niya when it comes to the tribe and the Spanish.
May mga notes na siyang binigay para maayos yung takbo ng palabas. And si Dexter kasi is the type of director na planado na lahat yung gagawin sa rehearsal. Kaya ang bilis-bilis namin. Nasa papel na lahat yung blocking niya, yung notes niya sa choreography together with JM and T-Pen. Nakaano na lahat yun.
It's my mantra na dapat before the rehearsal, kailangan complete na yung blocking mo and the form, the dances here. Para pagdating sa rehearsal, hindi na magte-take time yung pag-iisip mo ng steps and pagtungtong mo ng stage, very important na alam mo na kung ano yung gagawin mo.
Dexter's very specific with what he wants visually, and there has to be an artistic language with the visuals. It's not just like your typical putting together photos and whatever and putting it on screen. You have there's actually a treatment to it.
Then of course the music of Krina na ang daming revisions na ginawa. Since kasi nga nag-change ng cast, syempre yung keys ng mga singer medyo nag-iiba-iba rin.
I very much enjoyed the experience of working on each scene. Direct Dex and Sir Nick Pichay gave me the freedom at the same time, clear instructions on what to do with the scene, kung ano yung klase ng atmosphere, kung anong klase ng emotion yung dapat mapalabas sa mga characters.
Sabi ko, naku, epic level. So dapat i-show. Kasi sabi ko, gawad buhay levels yung yung music ni Krina, 'di ba? Parang minsan may maririnig ka na parang may mga choral parts na sobrang ganda, parang Star Wars epic. Diba? Sabi ko talaga parang my God, kailangan tong i-share, hindi lang online kasi parang it's not the same. It's not the same. Theater online is not the same as theater live because yung feeling ng live is different and the aura, the energy na hindi matatranslate sa TV ay nararamdaman mo live, di ba? And also with us, with theater actors, di ba? We get, dalawa yan eh. We give our energy and then the reaction of the audience, we take it in. So, mas madaling magkaroon ng rapport with the audience and the actors.
Meron pong pinapanood sa si Miss Krina, the musical director, na interview about this babaylan, kung paano siya tinuruan ng kanyang teachers. So from there, I have learned that meron 3 types ng chanting. Kasi hindi naman po talaga ako chanter, so I have to learn.
So there have been a lot of firsts for me in making the music and very much memorable experience siya para sa akin.
Given the requirements of the production, where as I mentioned, there's very little physical set and a lot of the setting actually will have to be provided by the lighting. I just asked for some additional equipment to be brought in to supplement the lighting equipment that was already ordered and in place at the Metropolitan Theater stage. And from there, then I worked in terms of trying to conceptualize the lighting to deliver what the basic requirement of the lighting would be, which is to make sure that the scenes that are presented on stage will be seen by the audience. So it is trying to get light into the actors' faces, trying to make sure that the action that's happening on stage is discernible to the audience. And then that becomes the nitty-gritty of the technical aspect of the work, which is individually, you have to focus all the lights, you have to put them in their proper places, and then after you have focused each of the lighting instruments, then you have to
put them together as if you're cooking and mixing which of the lights will be used in which particular scene, what colors will they have, what direction will be used, what effects will be used. For the period, for example, of the whole production, I have about 190 lighting cues, many of which are not supposed to be seen by the audience. They're just supposed to feel what's happening on the stage.
Dati kasi ang lahat ng directors locally want the PA system very loud. So in effect, yung lapels kailangan malapit dito, ang pangit sa video. So ngayon, maganda kasi with no sound system outside, we can hide the mic para siyang international talaga. Yung hindi mo nakikita, isa kaya yung mic, ganon. Yung acoustics ito is anywhere you sit, like under the balcony, on top of, up in the balcony, dito sa orchestra level, the sound is balanced.
Then at the same time, nagko-coordinate na rin kami kay Gino Gonzalez, na costume designer, para sa mga costumes na kailangan niyang i-produce and also the props na kailangan niyang i-research at hanapin. So,
basahin siyempre ang script, basahin yung mga panahon na kung ano yung mga kasuotan ng mga taong ito, kung paano sila gumalaw. Kasi kasama sa pagiging stylist, yung detalye. Kasi para maipalabas namin ang Lapu-Lapu na sa mga susunod na henerasyon na ito yung mga aktwal na pangyayari, kasuotan at hitsura ng mga tao na panahon.
Kaya nung pumasok na kami sa theater, naging madali na.
And then boom, we get here. Usually you get like a rehearsal space where you can figure things out and hear each other's lines and each other's notes. Here there was no time. So from the script, you go on stage.
The early readings that I'm doing with Humabon was very casual. As we progress dun sa show, na-open up sa akin na, wait, hindi pwede yung ganitong klaseng, very easy na delivery or reading ng politician. I have to peg someone.
Nagiging spontaneous siya during the run, during kung paano ko nagkakabato yung co-actor ko. Kasi it's really hard to just rely on the script and the reading.
Internalize it well, the external will come out. Kasi yun na nga if you are sincere about what you're thinking, my body will follow.
Yung 3 months na yun, kinompress natin into just more than a week. Hindi yung umabot ng 2 weeks. So parang 10 days, 12 days. Overwhelming.
It's passion, of course. Tsaka pag nagawa natin to, maaari magkaroon ng mga kasunod pa. It's doable pala.
So that whole manifestation up until getting here, up until stepping on the stage or seeing it for the first time, I am savoring it in a way na hindi ko ginawa dati. Na lahat, bawat note, whether negative or positive, masarap na sa akin. Na the fact that I'm here, I remind myself, I wasn't here. And now I'm back. And this is a sign of hope.
Kaya, surprisingly, nung umapa kami dito sa theater, in 4 days nabuo namin siya. Nakapag-run through kami.
If there's something I can be proud of is that we're able to do it in a week.
Ako bilang mandudula, naghihintay ako ng pagsanib ng isang boses, isang katauhan na parang mag-uudyok sa akin na buksan yung pinto ng eksena at sabihin, okay, ready na akong pumasok.
I think the basic challenge that everyone is facing nowadays is the pandemic. It has had to be moved so many times over, and always it wasn't easy because it meant straining the actors' schedules as well. Also us, I mean, we were not able to live our lives kasi everything was scheduled around Lapulapu.
Can we do this? Of course, there's a different apprehension. Sabi nga nila, ang paggawa ng produksyon ngayon, usually we get our schedule and it's okay. But of course, you have the anxiety of making sure that everybody's tested negative and you'll only know, I mean, a day before rehearsal or something on that specific day of the rehearsal. So you have that.
Nag-agree kami ni Sir Dex na ilalessen namin yung mga contacts with each other. Siyempre, kapag magbubuo kayo ng choreography, so merong mga variations and then you do repetitions na maganda rin visually na makita na nagdidikit-dikit sila. But with this situation, medyo kailangan merong physical distancing.
So aside from getting everyone to get PCR tested and to be in a bubble and to avoid interactions with people.
Kailangan i-advance mo rin ngayon yung time mo kasi maraming na yung pagdating mo sa theater, mag-fill up ka pa ng health declaration form, kukuha ka pa ng mga temperature check mo, tapos isa-sanitize ka pa. Tapos of course, during the rehearsal, hindi biro na nag-rehearse ka na naka-mask tsaka naka-face shield. Ang hirap din huminga, lalo na yung early part ng rehearsals, walang aircon, kaya tagaktak ang pawis namin.
It's not the same as like now talking pa lang this interview without a mask. Sobrang sarap sobrang different.
Hindi talaga namin naiintindihan yung isa't isa. So nagmumumble, masa kami sa music, masa kami sa actions, and we have to count.
Because of the guidelines, you cannot do it even if you want to hug people and just beso and high five even. We don't even do it. Even the fist or whatever, we don't do that anymore. So
sa bus, bawal mag-usap, ganyan. Bawal mag-share ng food. Malaking adjustment siya, lalo na sa trabaho namin na super intersocial talaga na. With the mask, the sound of course is muted. So it's very difficult to do your adjustments during rehearsals. And you're only given like one rehearsal without the mask.
I was just really thankful that everybody's negative. I think
doon din natin na-apply yung discipline natin as artists na yung importance ng discipline and to follow yung mga rules and regulations.
But then again, ginusto namin ito eh. Mahal namin itong ginagawa namin, kaya wala kaming pakialam. Kailangan magawa namin ito.
Especially that we only have a few days together to put the whole show. Lucky for me though that I had extra time because this was given to me around February and the script was also prepared. So my task as the composer was more or less finished before coming here. So it was just a matter of adding more revisions, adding more instrumental, incidental music pagdating sa pag-put up ng show on stage.
We don't have much time to rehearse, really, because of course, everything has to be done through Zoom bago na-lock in dito. Yeah, so we have less interactions with other actors. So pagdating dito, kailangan alam mo na.
Tapos, syempre, nagre-rehearse din po kami ng music, ng virtual. Parang, di ba po pag virtual, pag may mga magkakasabay na kanta, meron delay from the other end. So, ganun yung challenge na parang, sige, kahit may delay, let's push.
Nagbago rin yung process. Like, I have to just send all the recordings and we only had probably 1 or 2 meetings online just so that I can hear if they know their parts already. And then, saka lang dito lahat talaga magkikita-kita to have everything prepared.
Traditionally with theater, we still go to rehearsals just so we know how the story flows, how everything goes together, the blocking, the choreography, and how the video will help support the story in that way. So it wasn't until we prepared the designs, but it wasn't until the last minute and the past few days of doing tech in the theater that we actually finalized how the story would flow visually.
Ang nagpahirap lang siguro kasi matagal kaming hindi nakarating sa Met eh. Bago yung teatro, so we have to scale everything na dapat tama yung distances. It's not the same as doing a musical na kung anong gusto mong gawin na pahabol mo, hindi basta-basta ganun eh. So, kailangan iplano mo talaga mabuti.
And then when we came in, the difficult part was that when we were supposed to have the production earlier in the year, we were told that not all the equipment had been tested, not all the equipment had been working. Some of the technical requirements had not been delivered, they've just been ordered. But I consider them as part of the givens already. I didn't consider them as problems, I consider them as things that I have to deal with.
Kapag if you have to personify a real person who existed before, so really, you cannot create your own character kasi naka-staple siya dun sa character niya itself and it's real. So you really have to do your research. Of course, you can contribute a little on how you understand the character, but still, you really have to respect yung personality and yung character ng real person that you're trying to portray.
Naging madali din for me, in a way, yung process kasi madali rin ka-work yung mga dancers. So, all of them are professional dancers. So, you give them light instructions and then Pag ginawa nila, pasabog na.
Parang nanibago yung katawan, ganon. Sobrang sore ng mga muscles namin.
Sabi ko, this is a good pain. Sabi ko, I love this pain because I miss theater so much. Naramdaman ko yung mga ganit ng buto na hindi nagagamit. Sabi ko, my God.
Now we became more vocal about our feelings. Usually kasi it's non-verbal communication because we talk so much on stage. But now you just have to articulate what you feel. You know, when somebody hits that beautiful note or that beautiful song or you nail the scene, as you walk out, you say, that was good, I enjoyed that performance. You know, you egg each other on, you know, with words, with kind, beautiful words.
I honestly did not expect it to be as grand as this one because we weren't allowed to do shows for almost a year and a half. So, sabi ko, paano, like, legit show ba siya? And then when we finally put it all together, it's just magical. It's just really good.
People in the industry were falling left and right, so we could not take, especially with the Delta variant, we could not take a chance. But as it was, we think this is the right time to do it because eventually the inauguration is going to come up, so that's December 10, so it has to be much, much earlier.
Maligaya ako dahil lang nakuha kong grupo ay maganda ang synergy. You know? Maganda mga ideas. From them, kumuha naman sila ng mga production people. Nagkasama-sama, merong unity of spirit, merong one mind, you know, to produce an original play, musical play, Lapulapu.
We're very pleased that Sir Nick gave us free hand because strong naman ang vision niya, he knows what he wants. But the wonderful thing is he trusts his core team. Everyone brings something to the table. We bring to the table all the experience and also a respect for one another, which is what keeps the dynamics going.
Habang tumatakbo yung production, nakikita ko kung gaano ang daming mga tao at ahensya at mga concerns, mga issues na lumalabas dahil sa production na ito na parang nagkaroon siya ng kahalagahan na higit pa dun sa unang impetus o unang pangangailangan para magawa siya.
Again, I'm very, very thankful and I'm very, very blessed. I'm very happy in terms of that people, still gave their all no matter what. It's not every day that you do something special like this. It's not every day that you get to do a musical that tackles the life of a hero. It's not every day yet you get to do theater during this pandemic, and it's not every day that you have a team and you have actors or you have a whole bunch of artists working together for a specific project, even though it's very difficult, even though you're really practicing or rehearsing and observing super strict safety protocols. It's a test of patience. It's also a test of trust. But in the end, the fulfillment is very, very much there. I will be forever thankful to everybody who has been part of this.
A theater is nothing if there are no people to make it come to life, diba? What animates a theater? It's the lifeblood of the artists, it's the audience coming to appreciate the play. And I'm praying that the Met, with its new lease on life, would have that, would have productions. Because for any theater actor or theater artist or theater worker, and we have so many of them here, just standing there is magical, you know. There's a flood of memories, not only your personal memories, but you get a sense of history because that's really what the Met is all about. That's what the Grand Dame is all about.
Very exciting, it's marvelous. It's something that I've never felt for probably more than a year or so na you have a work that is being premiered for the first time, and you know how much time and collaborations and work that you put through this, and then during the pandemic pa. So the feeling has really been so special and different even sa pre-pandemic na working experience. So I'm really very excited that everything is coming together into place.
Ako bilang isang artista na makatungtong sa stage na to, ay isang napakalaking karangalan na din for me. Kasi parang every time you step your foot on that stage, parang mararamdaman mo na ito yung stage. Parang nai-imbibe ko din yung soul ng bawat performances na ginawa dito before.
It's a pleasure working here. So it's like parang nabuhay ulit.
Oh, it's a homecoming. As I told you, this was when I first worked here, I was a student.
So I'm very proud nung in-offer sa akin itong trabaho. Sige, gawin natin. Talagang tuwa akong gawin kasi laking met eh.
Ito yung naging bahay namin sa ilang taon. Dito kami nagre-rehearse, nagpapalabas ng mga dula. Nung sinabi nila na gagawin ng Lapulapu dito sa Metropolitan Theater, yun yung pinakamalaking factor na sinabi ko, gusto kong maging part niyan kasi gusto kong balikan yung lugar kung saan ako nag-start at saka makita na makabalik sana muli yung pagtatanghal natin sa entablado.
Finally, after how many years, Met is back. And I hope maibalik niya yung former glory niya nung time na yon. At saka sana, it's good for the theater industry at saka entertainment industry kasi they have another venue and that's good for all the artists, for all of us, and more jobs for all of us.
I'm glad that the next generation will be able to enjoy the Metropolitan Theater as much as we did when we were younger. But I am actually more excited for the next generation of theater artists and audiences to experience the Metropolitan Theater.
It's a privilege to be here, to be part of the team doing the maiden production for the reopening of the Met.
I'm really grateful and to be part of this event, and my heart is overwhelmed with joy talaga.
It's a fantastic venue to sing in. Very historical production, I must say.
Yung buong produksyon for me, I for one, nabaunin ko na to hanggang tumanda ako, na I'll be proud na I'm part of Lapulapu The Musical na na-present dito sa Met on its opening after so many years na that people were trying to reopen it. And finally, nangyari na ngayon.
It's not just a random production na, wow, it's my first full prod in almost 2 years. Nagkataon pa, it's the story of Lapulapu. It's the story of fighting for your freedom, of figuring out what's the right decision versus what's wrong.
Kaka-excite kasi I have to perform again. Nakakatakot kasi we have to do this right. We have to launch it right.
Part po siya ng history ng aking pagkatao as an artist. Naiiyak ako. Kasi parang ang tagal talaga ng panahon. Tapos, first time ko to. Tapos, sa reopening niya, nandito ako. Tapos, isang malaking pribilehiyo po bilang artista na nagsusumikap na artista.
I was in awe because you're standing in this space that has so much history, not just of theater, but of Manila and of the Philippines. So, to be part of that and to be helping bring that back is such an honor, really. So even you're scared because of what's going on.
Is an honor and a privilege at the same time, and it's an unbelievable feeling because being Lapulapu, the lead, is a big responsibility, but at the same time a big honor.
In my own little way, I get to reach out to the Filipino people and hopefully, to the best of my ability, deliver the message, which is we all gotta change. We are relevant.
I could almost cry, that we're finally seeing it come to fruition kasi it's been an uphill battle. I tell you, it's been an uphill battle. And to be able to do theater at this time means so much to us. If we're able to do this and this comes off well, this is a good signal to other theater productions that if you just keep the safety protocols in mind, if everyone is on the same track, on the same page, there just might be a future for theater pa rin in the face of the pandemic. So we are really putting all our heart and all our hopes in this production.
Exhilarating.
An overwhelming feeling.
Blessing.
Magnificent.
Grateful.
Life-changing.
Great.
Amazing.
I'd say fulfilling.
Magical.
I'm home.
Grateful.
Happiness.
Magical.
Magnificent.
I'm so blessed.
Special in all aspects.
It's life-changing.
Gratitude, I think.
So it's victory.
Mga partners, mga kapadayon, nasaksihan natin na hindi naging ganun kadali ang pagbuo ng produksyon ng Lapulapu ang Dato ng Mactan. Pero bagamat hindi ito naging madali, nakatutuwa naman na ito ay naipalabas sa muling pagbubukas ng Metropolitan Theater.
Tunay na isang bukod tanging pagkakataon ang naibigay sa atin ngayon mga partners, sa ating mga kapadayon upang magkaroon ng special backstage pass at makita talaga ang journey ng ating produksyong Lapulapu ang Dato ng Mactan. Kaya isang malaking pagbati sa artistic director na siya rin chairman natin, si Sir Nick Lizaso, ang director ng produksyon, Dexter Santos, ang writer at librettist, ating kaibigan, Attorney Nick Pichay, and of course, ang composer ng music, Krina Kayabyab. Malaking pagbati po sa lahat ng mga bumuo ng produksyon ng Lapulapu ang Dato ng Mactan, and especially sa cast and crew. Ang cast, syempre, pinangungunahan ng ating paboritong si Arman Ferrer.
Tama ka dyan, partner. At syempre, huwag natin kalimutan ang ating minamahal na mga kapadayo na bahagi rin ng Lapulapu ang Dato ng Mactan. Ang ating direktor, si Ginoong CJ Andaluz, na siya ring direktor ng musical sa broadcast nito. Palakpakan mga kapadayon! At si Ginoong Norman Peña Florida at ang The Closet para sa style ng Lapulapu The Musical.
Nako mga partners, mga kapadayon, tunay na nakakatuwa na bagamat tayo ay nasa panahon ng pandemya, ay patuloy pa rin ang pagsulong ng sining dito sa ating bayan, katulad ng ating programang Padayon, the NCCA Hour.
At syempre mga partners, para naman sa ating mga kapadayon na gustong makapasok mismo sa Teatro Metropolitan sa panahon ngayon, maghintay lamang po kayo ng tamang panahon. Dahil we will follow the health protocols, pero sa tamang panahon mga partners, makakapasok din tayo sa loob ng Teatro Metropolitan.
At para laging maging updated sa mga kaganapang pangkultura, bisitahin, i-like, sundan at mag-subscribe sa Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter account at YouTube channel ng National Commission for Culture and the Arts sa @NCCA Official.
Dito sa programang hatid ng National Commission for Culture and the Arts, kami ugaliing samahan tuwing Sabado at Linggo, 3:00 ng hapon.
Maraming salamat sa pagtutok sa aming programang nagbibigay ng kaalaman.
Sa programa nagbibigay ng kasiyahan.
At sa programang nagbibigay ng inspirasyon. Ito ang Padayon the NCCA Hour. Sulong na!